Hello and welcome back. Today I have quite an episode for you. Very important topic to dive into. 6 hidden ways that you are giving your power away every day. And of course, it's not like you're doing all 6 of these things every single day, but these are 6 hidden ways in which your energy is being siphoned out, perhaps without you even realizing it. Our June Akashic forecast was Reclaim Your Power. And if you haven't tuned into the June Akashic forecast, then I highly recommend, especially as we are wrapping up this month, because as you probably know, July is going to absolutely just change the volume in so many ways. And one of the reasons that I wanted to create this specific podcast for you is so that you could really get honest with yourself, get real about the ways in which you're doling out your energy every single day. You are lowering your capacity, you're lowering your ability to show up, to make decisions, to be clear, to feel good in your body, so many different things. And, 2026 has been bringing it, right? It's like since the bell rang, it's been one thing after another, not only in our personal lives, but definitely on a collective level. I have been struggling the past couple of weeks with sleeping because I have been feeling the energy of July coming in. And even though I haven't sat down to channel through the July Akashic forecast message, like it's coming. I can feel it. And honestly, there's a part of me that's a little anxious about what is on the way for us. I know that, of course, we're prepared. We'll get through it, all of the things. But, my human body is just like, okay, here it comes. Get ready, get prepared. And the thing is, we have to remember in the midst of this, no matter what comes, no matter what shows up, no matter what we navigate, the number one thing for us to remember is that the only thing we can control is ourselves, right? We can control our energy, we can control our attitude, we can control the way we act. We have to take care of ourselves in these times. That is of utmost importance. And if you're like me and have put like all of the things in front of you years prior, guess what? 2026 is making it real for all of us, right? We're dealing with sickness, we're dealing with loss, we're dealing with grief, we're dealing with so much purging. It's pretty insane, all in preparation for the things that we're stepping into. And again, because the only thing that we can control right now is ourselves, that is why really working with self is of utmost importance. It always has been, but like right now, it's a non negotiable, especially if you are wanting to enjoy your everyday. So, in lieu of what we're going to be moving into when July kicks off, I wanted to really just kind of like bring these things up because maybe you're not even aware of it. Maybe you don't even realize like, oh my gosh, okay, I'm giving out all of my energy into this one part of life. And what if I brought that back to me? What if I rebalanced this area of my life? What would that do for me? And how much would that serve me? Right? We're all guilty of this. Nobody's perfect. This is not about shame or guilt or any of those things, but it is about preparation. And again, since time is winding down in June, we need to be really, really serious about where we're at in regards to the relationship with ourselves as we are stepping into such a transformational month. I was just sitting with one of my mentorship clients today, who's also very clairsentient, very intuitive. Like me, she's often someone who feels into the energy before it arrives. And she was just saying, Anna, I know this isn't true from a logical standpoint. She's like, but it almost feels as if as a collective, we won't make it to August. And I share that with you just to kind of say, like, this is serious. Okay. And I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what's going to happen. And I'm definitely not trying to freak you out, but I am trying to like wake you up, like, hey, pay attention to this time moving in. And don't worry about what could happen. Don't worry about what's going to be out of your control because you can't control it, but you can control yourself. You can control your energy. And when you're rested and when you're nourished and when you're not stressed out and when you have capacity, you can reclaim your power in the midst of all of it and you can move through it. And when you're able to move through it, then you're able to bring others through it as well. So, before we kind of kick things off here, just a reminder that my books are open for Akashic soul readings. If you are in need of guidance, if you're at a crossroads in your life, if you're needing like an energetic readjustment, if you're needing some clarity for your path, bring your challenges, bring your desires. Let's shift it together in the Akashic Records. Okay, so let's talk about the 6 hidden ways you're giving your power away. All right. First and foremost, what I can say on the front end is that all of these are related to the self. Okay. Every single one. Because number one, more than likely, unless you're just rocking it out, and if you are, like, high five to you, because it's been such an insane year that I've even struggled to like stand up straight every day. We are neglecting the relationship with ourselves. Okay. And we aren't prioritizing it. We have been ignoring our feelings. We have been ignoring our bodies. We have been ignoring the things that we know we need to do, right? This all has to do with the relationship with ourselves. And so if you walk away from nothing else today, then sort of like a readjustment in regards to the importance of prioritizing the relationship with yourself, then fabulous, because then that will assist you with all of these other ones. Okay. Because again, it's just, you know, I mentioned this last week, but the 2026 Akashic forecast for the year was self-responsibility. Like we must take responsibility for ourselves, for our energy, for our lives. Remember, you are the creator of your life. And if you don't like your life, if you're not happy with it, you have the power to change it. You have the power to redirect it. You have the power to make different decisions. But it all comes back to self, and it all comes back to the relationship with ourself. Okay. So let's dive in. Number one, first and foremost, looking outside of yourself for answers. And this is something I see prolifically. I have seen this my entire life, honestly. You know, as you may or may not have heard about my story, I was born into this lifetime knowing God and having a relationship with God. And God for me is love. It's not tied to religion. It's not tied to belief systems. It's literally just God is love. And God was always a part of my life growing up. God always represented, you know, this being, this energy, this whatever that I could go to, that I could yell and scream at some days, that I could, you know, find love, find acceptance, find forgiveness, find, you know what I'm saying? Like God to me has always represented this for me, very fatherly sort of figure, that it was like, come and I'll take you underneath my wing and everything's going to be okay. Now, I know God has no pronouns, right? But energetically for me, that's just how it's been. And so let's just put that to the side because that's a totally different conversation. But my point just being is that because I grew up having a relationship with God, I had a relationship with myself, and I had a relationship with like I innately understood that I needed to make my own decisions. Okay. I didn't need to look for outside circumstances to tell me what to do or tell me how to go. Now, I'm stubborn as can be. I'm so strong willed. I am like, my astrology chart is primarily fire. And so I am just somebody who has always made my own way. Okay. But there have still been multiple times throughout my life where I have caught myself looking for answers outside of myself. And this is something I see so often, right? People are like, oh my gosh, what's going on with my health? I'm going to like get on Google. I'm going to ask a friend. I'm going to like, you know, talk to people on social media. I'm going to like, you know, or maybe my relationship or my whatever it is, right? Right. People are like consuming podcasts and books and this and that, like looking for answers instead of realizing like everything is within, literally everything. You have wisdom within. And this is like a core tenet in the work that I do with my clients, because as much as I love guiding my clients through life, ultimately, and more importantly, I want them to gain the confidence to do it themselves. I want them to realize like, oh my gosh, she's just validating what I already knew. Oh my gosh, they learn to trust themselves. They learn to remember like, wait a minute, Before I bring my problem to Anna, I sit with it myself. And like I come up with my own perspective, my own insight. This is what we are meant to do. Not that we can't like go outside of ourselves for answers, but first we got to go internal, right? And we got to understand that even if we do take in a bunch of information and opinions, ultimately we should be making the decision for ourselves. Because remember, again, like you are the creator of your life. And if you're not happy with it, then you got to make different decisions. And nobody else is responsible for you but you, which is why it's so important for you to feel really good about the decisions you make in your life. You know, I am actually someone who's like, even though I really lean on my own wisdom, when I'm like battling something and going through something, like I will talk to people about it. I am a split definition in human design. And so it's very aligned for me to talk things out loud. I even do voice notes sometimes because that's just helpful if maybe I can't get a hold of the person that I trust regarding whatever topic it is. But I love hearing what other people have to say, but I always make my own decision. So again, it's not like you can't go outside of yourself, but first, what do you feel? Where are you at with it? The hidden trap is constantly searching for that next answer while ignoring the wisdom that is within you. Sometimes within a spiritual community, we're like, wait a minute, okay, like I feel like I should do this, but no, give me a sign. No, give me another sign. No, no, no. Like, okay, pull a tarot card for me, or you know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. What the Akasha said in regards to this from the June Akasha forecast was some people aren't searching for answers. They're avoiding their own wisdom. Mic drop. That's pretty insane. I'm going to say it one more time. Some people aren't searching for answers. They're avoiding their own wisdom. And I want you to just sit with that for a second, because here's the truth. If you are looking for answers outside of yourself, it's because you don't trust yourself. And again, this goes back to my point. Everything we're discussing today has to do with the relationship that you have with yourself. And if you don't trust yourself, then it's important to get to the bottom of why and begin redirecting that, because baby, you is all you have. And I hope you like you. I hope you enjoy you. And I hope that you trust you. And if you don't, it's time to turn that around. Okay. Number two, and this is honestly, as far as I'm concerned, like one of the biggest issues that I see across the board, making everyone else a priority before yourself, right? It's people pleasing. It's people become the caretaker, the helper, the fixer, the supporter, like the strong one, the one who knows and has all the answers. And, while quietly abandoning themselves, wondering why they're not happy, wondering why they feel resentment, wondering why life isn't going the way I want it, wondering why I'm always there for everybody else, but when I need somebody, there's nobody there for me. Why is that? Why is that? And then getting mad at everybody else because they're not there for you. When the relationship was unbalanced from the get-go. And the reason it was unbalanced is because you allowed it to be unbalanced, right? Again, self-responsibility. When we make other people a priority, quite frankly, we put way too much responsibility on their shoulders. We allow them to be responsible for us, for our happiness. And we create these energetic ties to them where it's like, wait a minute, it's like the stereotypical, the mother who does everything for her children and then feels resentment and then hates herself for it. Like, what? We can't do that. Or like, being in a relationship with someone and like, you make your partner your everything. And then when they go out on the weekend or they go on a trip with friends, you're by yourself and you're so angry with them because they left you. But you didn't make yourself a priority. You didn't make your own friends. You didn't create your own life. There's no one else to blame but yourself, right? And it's so amazing how easy it is that we get wrapped up in these loops, wrapped up in living a life for other people. And again, this is something that I've talked about so many times, I feel like, right? Because we are conditioned to give a crap what other people think. We're conditioned to put everybody else in front of us. Religiosity has like sunk its hooks into every aspect of our life, whether you are religious or not. And especially if you are a woman, then you are expected to put other people in front of you. You're expected to make your children your number one priority. You're expected to forget yourself in the midst of taking care of everybody else. But nobody asked that of you, okay? Not truthfully. And if they did, kick them to the curb. Bottom line, you had a choice in how you showed up. And it's time to choose different. Because if you are making everyone else your priority, then every single day you are giving your power away, your energy away to everyone else. And what does that leave you with? Nothing, nothing, or very little, right? And then you wonder why you're upset and resentful and all of those things. But if you take care of yourself and you make yourself a priority, it's going to shift the whole thing. One of the biggest ways people give their power away is by becoming indispensable to everyone except themselves. I see this so much with my mentorship clients because my mentorship clients are beautiful, amazing, huge-hearted people who want to give, who want to serve. I'm the same way. I do this with my business. I don't really do this with people in my life, in my personal life, but I do this with my business. So, this may not show up for you in like the stereotypical way, but it probably shows up for you in one way or another, especially if you're like an empathic, big-hearted person. Like I love giving, I love serving. But when I'm doing that all the time, like I give out enormous energy to my clients every single day. Every single day. How am I refilling my cup? How am I taking care of myself? Am I prioritizing myself as much as I am my clients? It's a good question to ask. And for you, that question is very much the same. In whatever area of life this is most aligned for you, right? How are you trying to become so indispensable to people because you believe your worth and your value is tied up in it that you are then abandoning yourself in the process of it? In the Enneagram, I am a 3, which is the achiever. And the child wound of the achiever is that we learned that, we were lovable through our achievements. And this is something that I have to constantly detangle within myself, that how much I show up and how much I do and, everything is not tied to my worth and my value. Your worth, your value is yours, no matter how much you do, no matter how little you do. Okay. And making other people a priority is never the winning game. It's just not. Sometimes we do have to put people in front of us, and that's okay. In the short term, that's fine. But in the long term, absolutely freaking not. Okay. Again, the theme this month is reclaim your power. And how can you do that if you're making everyone else more of a priority than yourself? Number 3, constant consumption. And this is huge, right? A lot of people think that you lose your power, you lose your energy, you lose yourself through major life events, but it's actually really, really small ones in really small ways that just like doles it out again and again and again. One of the examples that's really coming to mind is a friend of mine who is a business owner, a creator. And, he's always said like, oh my gosh, it's so easy for me just to, create a reel for Instagram. Like I can just do it really quick. I can just whip out my phone and do this. And I always kind of questioned him about that because, it was like, wait a minute, but you have to stop what you're doing. You have to stop your frame of mind. You have to stop, your process to then go do that and then post that. And then when you post it, like how much longer are you on your phone after that? Right. Because it seemed like quite a big process. And even though in his mind, it just was like, oh no, just a couple of minutes. When he actually started like documenting how long it took him, he was throwing away an hour, like 45 minutes to an hour with the real creation, because he'd have to think about what he was going to say and then he'd record it and then he'd edit it and then he'd upload it and then he'd hang out on social media, right? It is honestly all the little things that are consuming our information through consumption, right? Doom scrolling, news addictions, like endless content, gotta read, gotta listen, gotta da 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 da, right? Mindless entertainment. This is definitely one where I struggle because sometimes in life I get so exhausted. This year, good gosh, exhaustion has been like one of the biggest things I've had to struggle with for a number of reasons. Hey, perimenopause, but mindless entertainment. It's like I'll sit down to just kind of try and give myself a break for 30, 45 minutes. Before I know it, like I've lost like 2 hours. And it is actually like making me feel worse than how I felt before. It's draining my energy. Your energy isn't disappearing when you're doing that, these types of things. It's being spent. Okay. Remember, we start off every single day with like a pail full of energy, and every little thing we do along the way, either take some out or add some in. And that doesn't necessarily like need to equate to one is good and one is bad, but we need to be aware of the ways in which we are like just giving our power away. Because when I finally like turn off the TV or whatever it is that I'm doing, ah, I don't just lose the time that I lost in that, but then I lose the time like getting back into my space and getting back into my work or getting back into whatever it is that I'm doing, getting back into my body. And that is time that's wasted. And it's not like we need to fill up every time and be super productive. That's not what it's about. It's just that it exhausts me. It doesn't help me. It drains my energy. Okay. And it takes my power. Number 4. And this is a very collective thing, but also a very individual thing. Okay. Depending upon where you're at in life, waiting for someone to save you. And I want you to sit with this one because like your immediate, like initial thought might be like, no, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. But I guarantee that you are in one area of your life or another. Maybe you're waiting for the perfect partner, the perfect opportunity, the perfect leader, the perfect coach, the perfect timing, the perfect president. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Again, this like ties back into religiosity, right? And the hidden cost is that our waiting postpones our personal power. It postpones action. It postpones the ability to create a whole new timeline for ourselves in the midst of it. Sitting back, thinking that someone or something is going to show up and make it all better. We all do this. We all do this in one way or another. And again, maybe if like you're super outside the norm, I guarantee you're probably looking around at the world and just thinking like, oh, well, when new leadership comes in, well, no, 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 no. This is the lesson of the century. We have to save ourselves collectively and personally. No one else is going to do it. No one else is supposed to do it. And, like this whole idea of someone else or something else coming in, it's literally just stealing our power. If you have seen the movie Dune, which I absolutely love, Villanova, who's the director, my favorite director, hands down. He did Arrival, amazing ET movie, by the way. But Dune, phenomenal, phenomenal, phenomenal. In Dune 2, I believe, Chani, who's the main female character, everybody's like looking at, I'm going to forget names now because it's what my brain does. The main character, and they're like wanting him to be the Messiah, wanting him to be, this legend, that this person, the savior that they have been waiting for. And she says, it's so dangerous that this idea of a savior coming, like people will wait for centuries in this waiting. And that's the truth. We can apply this again to ourselves collectively or on a personal level. Like, what are you waiting for? When I work with my clients in mentorships, the perfect timing is like such a thing. Oh no, I gotta wait till this happens, or I gotta wait till this person, or I gotta wait till like what? I can tell you, like in the entrepreneurial world, action is revered, and the ability to make fast decisions is absolutely revered. Because the thing is like we don't realize how much time and power and efforts and all the things we give up while we are waiting, while we are trying to decide something versus Like, it goes back to like the soul cannot fail. You cannot fail in this lifetime. So if you are waiting for something, again, it's because you don't trust yourself. You don't trust the fact that even if you make a decision that is, hand quotations, wrong, that will serve you, then you know what I'm saying? Like you're putting it all off versus just taking action, just making a decision, just going for it, just being like, no, I'm just going to do it now. I'm just going to handle it now. I'm just going to create it now. Again, we're all guilty of this in one way or another. Truly we are. Procrastination is a popular topic for a lot of reasons. But the reason we procrastinate, the reason that we think someone else is going to step in is because we don't believe we can do it ourselves. Again, self-trust. Ooh, ooh. And if you don't have self-trust, baby, it's going to be rough for you. Every day you spend waiting for someone else or something else to change your life is a day you are not changing it yourself. And let me just say, when you are able to get in the middle of that pattern, when you are able to start taking your power back, you fall in love with yourself in such an incredible way. You begin to see how powerful you are. You begin to remember who you are. You begin to remember what you are capable of. And again, go back to some time in your life that was so difficult that you didn't think you were going to make it through, but you did. You pulled yourself out. What did that do for you and the relationship you have with yourself? Lean into that. Remember that. Again, we are the creators of our own life. We can't wait. Okay. We got to make it happen now. Okay. Number 5. And this heavily relates to the June Akashic forecast, choosing happiness instead of contentment. And this sneaky, ooh, is it sneaky? I remember when the Akasha was like channeling this through, and I was just like, wait, what? Like there was a part of me that knew, like that understood, but then there was a part of my head that was arguing with this because it's like, no, this is not. Many people live with the unconscious belief that I'll be okay when I make enough money, when I heal, when I find the right relationship, when I leave my job, when I figure it all out, when I, XYZ, right? Instead of learning how to buckle into the present, how to be present in the present, how to find peace and contentment in the present. Because we basically always can, unless we are in some sort of horrific and extreme situation, which is not your circumstance if you're listening to this podcast, right? And then your peace becomes dependent on future circumstances. Again, giving your power away. You are the creator of your life. All right. But what was so interesting about what the Akasha talked about when they spoke about peace, or sorry, about happiness, was that like it's a fleeting moment. It's a fleeting emotion. We want something so much more powerful. We want to be able to experience peace, experience contentment in our lives, even in the midst of chaos, even in the midst of difficult times. Not when all of the pieces are put together, because they will never be. Truly. We go through periods of life where like things are really going great, but ultimately life on earth is about challenges and growth. And that's where we get all of the good stuff, hand quotations, good stuff, because as humans, we don't view it as good stuff, but our soul loves it. Our soul celebrates. Our soul's like, yes, look at what you are accomplishing right now, right? I have a client of mine who is a phenomenal mother. She has always put her children first, and she started establishing boundaries with her oldest, who is not a kid anymore. He's an adult. But it's very difficult for her because, of course, she is a mother and she loves her children so much and she wants to give them all things. But ultimately, that is definitely not serving her and not serving her son either, right? And so she is having to lean into doing something different. And it's not easy for her. But in the midst of it, she is getting to see how good it feels. And it started even shifting other things in her life. When we go for the deeper aspects of life, happiness is like up here. It's on the surface. Again, it's fleeting, it's momentary, it's here and then it's gone. When you think about contentment, contentment is something that you create within. And again, contentment is ultimately about the relationship that you have with yourself, because your job can be falling apart, your relationships can be falling apart, but if you are content with yourself, then even though it's difficult and upsetting and painful and all of those things, you're like, okay, at least I have me. And I can find peace in that. I can find contentment in that, right? And that is what we want to make happen in this time. But when we're searching for the surface, the material, we're losing our way, and we're definitely giving our power away. The moment your happiness depends on something outside of you, you've handed away your power, which I love so much. And last but not least, not prioritizing fun. Let me just say that this is something I struggle with. Now, I know that parts of my personality come across as super bubbly, super happy, super like joyful all the time. And I very much am that 100%. But I'm also a business owner. I am a person who has huge dreams and ambitions and wants to do so many things in life. And I put an enormous amount of pressure on myself for it. And, like it's difficult for me to relax because I'm just like, what's the next thing? What's the next thing? What's the next thing? Like I'm always telling my clients or asking them when they do something like, are you celebrating yourself? And the majority, they're doing it better than I am. Like I don't celebrate myself enough. I'm working on it. But my point just being is that, like prioritizing fun is a difficult thing for me. Yet, it is one of my top values, and certainly one of my top values in my business. And when I am prioritizing fun, I have so much more capacity for life. I have so much more joy in my everyday. I have more creativity. I have the things. And I have always said my entire life, if you're not having fun, then go home. Bag it. It's over. It's done. When it comes to relationships, when it comes to like all these different things, right? And yet I really struggle with this in my life. However, I haven't given up. I haven't given up on trying to move this to the forefront. And I tell you what, the older I get, the better I get at this. And of course, I've gotten better at it through a lot of pain. Again, our soul celebrates when we go through challenges. But nonetheless, I am learning the lesson. I am learning how to relax. I am learning how to prioritize fun and joy and goofiness and silliness. And you know what I'm saying? Not just fall into it, but to prioritize it. And this is so important because if you are like me and you're taking life too seriously, and you're being really hard on yourself a lot of the time, and your energy is just draining, and you're giving your power away to all of these material outside external things. There's nothing wrong with having ambition. There's nothing wrong with any of the things that I want and crave in my heart. They're there for a reason and a purpose, but they're meant to be built with fun, with joy, with, you know what I'm saying? And especially in these times with so much going on in the outside world. I mean, I honestly spent like the first sort of like 30 minutes at my desk this morning just crying because I was looking at the news, and I was in tears for humanity, for the violence, for the disrespect, for, the things that we're seeing so clearly right now. It hurts my heart in a huge way. But we can't get too sucked in. We have to take care of our own personal lives because we have work to do. And thankfully, I got to spend a day with mentorship clients. I got to spend a day, being in the Akasha. And I got to spend a day remembering that although these things are happening in the external world, there is beauty and joy and just amazing, amazing people that I have the honor to work with. And, that all goes back to just keeping things in balance, right? And so if we aren't prioritizing fun, then we're absolutely giving our power away to things that just don't matter. So I hope that you can prioritize fun. All right, my love, this is what I have for you today. I would love to hear how today's message resonated with you. If any of these things you struggle with in particular yourself, I think I checked off for like basically everyone. So it's just where it's at. And let's just be honest with it. No need to beat ourselves up. It's kind of comical, right? Like as a human, we are so perfectly imperfect, a bit of a train wreck. And I like said that to a friend the other day, and he was like, "No, don't beat yourself up." And I was like, "No, it's not. It's not a negative thing. It's honestly kind of comical to me, because we incarnate to experience these aspects of ourselves, and nobody is freaking perfect. And I can beat myself up, or I can laugh about it, and I choose to laugh, right? Anyway, I'm sending you so much love. Please share this with someone who can benefit from it. Leave rating, reviews, subscribe, do all the things. Thank you so much for being here. And don't forget, when we invest in ourselves, the world benefits. Until next time.